We're better as friends, honestly. She assured me, so I agreed. Then she discovered friendship didn't include me covering her half of the vacation, especially not when I took someone else instead. Hello friends, before I continue the story, please support the channel by becoming a subscriber and giving the video a like. Also, let us know in the comments where you're watching right now. Hey Reddit, I've been lurking here for years reading all those crazy stories about relationships gone wrong and people finally getting their wake-up calls. Never thought I'd be the one posting my own mess, but here we are. I'm 32 now, and this whole situation unraveled about 8 months ago. Looking back, I can see all the warning signs I ignored, or maybe I just wanted to believe in something that wasn't real. But let me take you back to the beginning so you understand how deep this ran. My name's Marcus, and I work as a software engineer at a tech startup in Atlanta. The hours are brutal sometimes, but the pay is solid and I genuinely love what I do. I met Simone during my first year out of college at a mutual friend's cookout. She was this vibrant woman studying to be a physical therapist, full of life and always talking about opening her own wellness center someday. I was hooked from the moment she laughed at one of my terrible jokes. We started dating casually at first, then things got serious pretty quickly. After about a year together, we moved into a decent 2-bedroom apartment in Midtown. Nothing extravagant, but the rent was reasonable and we were close to everything we needed. From the jump, I noticed our financial situations were different. Simone was still in grad school, working part-time at a gym to make ends meet while studying for her licensure exams. I didn't think twice about covering more than my share of expenses. We're building something together, I tell myself, and when she gets established, things will balance out. One memory that stands out happened about 3 years into our relationship, right after she failed her licensing exam the first time. I came home from a 14-hour debugging session to find her on the bedroom floor, surrounded by study materials, crying. I sat down next to her, put my arm around her shoulders, and promised we'd get through it together. That weekend, I paid for her to retake the exam and bought her an expensive review course she'd been eyeing but couldn't afford. She kissed me and said I was her rock, her foundation, and that she'd make it all up to me someday. Looking back now, that moment established a dynamic I should have questioned. Me giving, her taking, and both of us pretending it was temporary when it was becoming permanent. She passed the exam on her second try, got her license, and started working at a clinic. But somehow, the financial imbalance never really shifted the way I'd expected it would. We talked about marriage occasionally, nothing concrete, but enough to make me think we were headed somewhere permanent. Last spring, she started complaining about burnout from her clinic job and how she needed to recharge. "Let's do something big," she said one night over dinner. "Something we'll remember forever." So I researched and found this amazing wellness retreat in Costa Rica. Yoga, meditation, spa treatments, beach access, the whole package. It was exactly the kind of place Simone always talked about visiting. I put down a non-refundable deposit of $3,000, figuring she'd contribute her half once her next paycheck cleared. She absolutely lost her mind with excitement when I told her. Posted about it constantly on Instagram with photos of the resort and captions like, "Finally prioritizing my mental health with my favorite person," and "Manifestation works, y'all." Her friends commented with fire emojis and heart eyes, telling her how lucky she was. I felt good about it, like I'd done something right for once. But even then, she never mentioned paying me back or transferring her share, and I was too caught up in her happiness to bring it up. Things started shifting around that time in ways I couldn't quite put my finger on. She'd go out more often for girls' nights that would stretch until 2 or 3 in the morning. Her phone became this sacred object she'd take everywhere, even to the bathroom, always face down on tables. I'd catch her smiling at texts, and when I'd ask who she was talking to, she'd say it was just her coworker Devin or someone from her yoga class. I trusted her completely, so I never pushed. Why would I? The little comments started creeping in too, subtle digs wrapped in casual conversation. She'd repost these Instagram quotes about outgrowing spaces that no longer serve you and choosing spontaneity over stagnation. One evening while we were watching TV, she mentioned this guy from her clinic, a physical therapist named Troy, who apparently was also a personal trainer and part-time model. "He's so adventurous," she'd say, scrolling through his social media. Last weekend, he went cliff diving in Mexico on a whim. Can you imagine just booking a flight like that? I laughed it off. That's not really my thing, I said. She nodded, but there was something in her expression I couldn't read. Our intimacy dried up gradually, then suddenly. Date nights I'd planned would get canceled last minute because she was exhausted or had early morning clients. Sex became a monthly occurrence, then stopped altogether. When I tried to talk about it, she'd brush it off. I'm just stressed, Marcus. Don't make it a thing. But it was a thing, at least to me. I started wondering if I was boring, if my long work hours made me unavailable, if I'd somehow failed to keep her interested. I even suggested we try new things together, salsa classes, rock climbing, a weekend in Savannah. She'd agree half-heartedly, then find reasons to bail. I bent over backward, trying to figure out what was wrong. I turned down a promotion that would have required relocating to San Francisco because she said her career was just getting started in Atlanta. I stopped going to the pickup basketball games I loved because she said she felt lonely when I was gone on weekends. And through it all, I kept telling myself this was just a rough patch. Every relationship has them, right? The night everything exploded was a Thursday in late September, completely ordinary until it wasn't. I'd gotten home around 6:30, stopped by Papado to grab her favorite seafood pasta on the way. I set everything up nice, plates, cloth napkins, even opened a bottle of wine. Simone walked in around 7:15, barely glanced at the table, and dropped her gym bag by the door. Hey, I said, trying to sound upbeat. Thought we could have a nice dinner together. How was work? She didn't even sit down. Marcus, we need to talk. Those 4 words hit me like a freight train. I felt my chest tighten, but I nodded and gestured to the couch. Okay, what's going on? She paced for a moment, then stopped and looked at me with this mixture of pity and determination. I've been thinking about us a lot lately, and I just don't think it's working anymore. Her words came out rehearsed like she'd practiced this. You're a good man, Marcus. You really are. But I think we're better as friends, honestly. We've grown into different people, and I need something else right now. I sat there, trying to process what I was hearing. Something else? What does that mean? She sat down across from me, crossing her legs like this was a business meeting. I need excitement, spontaneity. With you, everything is so planned, so predictable. Work, home, maybe a date night if I'm lucky. There's no passion anymore. Her tone was matter-of-fact, almost clinical. I care about you, but I'm not in love with you. And I think deep down you know that too. Is there someone else? The question came out steadier than I felt. She hesitated, and that hesitation told me everything. Troy and I have been getting close. We're not together officially, but there's something there. He understands me in ways you don't. He pushes me to be bold, to take risks. With you, I feel like I'm playing it safe, and I'm not ready for safe. Playing it safe. After 6 years together, after supporting her through grad school, after sacrificing career opportunities so she could build hers. I wanted to scream, but instead I asked, so you've been seeing him behind my back? She rolled her eyes like I was being dramatic. It's not like that. We've hung out a few times, kissed once or twice, but we're basically roommates at this point, Marcus. When's the last time we even had sex? Don't act shocked. I stared at her. This person I'd loved and supported for years, now sitting across from me like a stranger. The betrayal burned, but what stung more was her casualness about it. No remorse, no acknowledgement of what we'd built. Just her needs, her feelings, her justification. So what now? You want to break up and I just move out? I mean, yeah, she said, shrugging. But we don't have to make it ugly. We can stay friends. We have too much history to just throw away. She leaned forward slightly. And hey, about the Costa Rica trip, we should still go as friends. It'd be a shame to waste that deposit you put down. And honestly, I really need that reset. I'll pay you back for my half eventually, I promise. You know money's tight for me right now. There it was. The audacity wrapped in a smile. She just admitted to cheating, blamed me for being too stable, and in the same breath expected me to bankroll her vacation. The entitlement was staggering, like our years together had earned her permanent access to my wallet regardless of how she treated me. I stood up, keeping my voice level. If that's how you feel, then okay. She blinked, clearly surprised. Okay? That's it? No fight. No trying to work it out. I looked at her, really looked at her, and realized I didn't recognize who she'd become. What would you like me to say, Simone? You've made your choice. I'm not going to beg you to stay with me. She stood too, and I saw a flash of something. Annoyance. Maybe disappointment. See, this is exactly what I'm talking about. No emotion, no fire. Troy would have fought for me. He'd have shown some passion. I grabbed my keys from the counter. I do have passion. I'm just not going to waste it on someone who doesn't value it. As I headed to the bedroom to pack a bag, she followed. Wait, where are you going? Can't we at least talk about the logistics? The lease, the bills, how we tell our friends? I threw clothes into my duffel without looking at her. We'll handle logistics later. Right now, I need space. Don't make this harder than it has to be, she called after me as I walked toward the door. Tell our friends it was mutual, okay? I don't want drama. I stopped at the threshold, turned back once. You made this dramatic the moment you cheated. How people hear about it isn't my problem. Then I left, closing the door on 6 years like it was nothing. I drove straight to my cousin Terrell's place in Decatur, called him on the way to give him a heads up. Man, come on over, he said without hesitation. When I got there, he handed me a beer and didn't press for details until I was ready. That first night on his couch, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I replayed the conversation, her words cutting deeper each time. We're better as friends. No passion. Troy pushes me, like I hadn't pushed myself to exhaustion supporting her dreams. The next morning, I called in sick to work for the first time in 2 years. I needed to process what had just happened. Terrell made breakfast and finally asked what went down. I told him everything. The cheating, the blame shifting, her expecting me to still fund her vacation. Bro, he said, shaking his head. She's been using you. You just couldn't see it because you loved her. His words hit hard because they were true. I'd been so invested in being supportive that I'd ignored how one-sided everything had become. The rent I paid while she claimed she was building her savings. The times I'd covered her car payment when she said clients canceled. The expensive dinners, concert tickets, spa days, all charged to my credit card with vague promises of paying me back someday. I convinced myself it was partnership, but really it was patronage. Over the next few days, I started taking practical steps to separate our lives. I emailed our landlord about breaking the lease early, offering to pay the penalty fee myself. I contacted the utility companies to transfer everything out of my name. The shared credit card we'd opened for household expenses, which somehow only I ever paid. I paid off the balance and closed it. No arguments, no drawn-out negotiations. Just clean cuts. The Costa Rica trip was trickier. The deposit was non-refundable, $3,000 down the drain if I canceled. But the final payment wasn't due for another month, and that's when it hit me. I didn't have to cancel. I could still go, just not with her. The idea felt liberating, like reclaiming something that was mine. I didn't mention this to Simone. Let her assume I'd either cancel or somehow still take her. Work became my refuge. I threw myself into a major project we'd been developing, staying late, volunteering for extra tasks. My manager noticed. Marcus, you're crushing it lately. Whatever's motivating you, keep it up. I didn't tell her I was channeling heartbreak into productivity. It felt good to be recognized for effort that was actually appreciated. I also started doing things I'd neglected. Hit the gym every morning before work, not just for health but for the headspace. Reconnected with my college friends who'd drifted away while I was wrapped up in Simone. Started reading again. Science fiction novels I'd bought but never opened. One Saturday, I drove out to Stone Mountain and hiked to the top alone. Something I'd suggested to Simone dozens of times, but she'd always refused. Standing at the summit, looking out over Atlanta, I felt something shift. Maybe I didn't need fixing. Maybe I'd been fine all along. The silence from my end must have unsettled Simone because about 3 weeks after the breakup, the messages started. First, a casual text. Hey Marcus, hope you're doing okay. Miss talking to you. We should grab coffee soon and catch up like old friends do. I didn't respond. 2 days later, another one. So I've been thinking about Costa Rica. The deposit's already paid, right? Seems silly to waste it. I can Venmo you my half in installments. Let's not lose out on that experience. I stared at that message, amazed at her gall. Still assuming I'd fund her trip, just with a payment plan that would probably never materialize. I typed back a brief response. Handle your own arrangements. I'm good. Her reply came within minutes. Marcus, don't be like this. We said we'd stay friends. Friends help each other out. I'm going through a hard time financially right now, and I could really use this trip. I didn't answer, blocked her number and figured that was the end of it. I was wrong. A few days later, my phone rang from an unknown number. I answered, thinking it might be work-related. Marcus, it's Simone. Please don't hang up. I considered it, but curiosity won. What do you want? I got a new number because you blocked me, which I think is really immature, by the way. Her tone had shifted from friendly to irritated. We need to talk about the trip and the apartment stuff. You can't just ghost me. We have 6 years of history. I kept my voice neutral. I'm handling the apartment. You should start looking for a new place. As for the trip, I already told you to handle your own plans. Are you seriously going to let $3,000 go to waste out of spite? Her voice rose. That's childish, Marcus. I know you're hurt, but this is ridiculous. Just let me come on the trip. We don't even have to share a room. I'll sleep on the couch in the suite or whatever. I need this reset, and you know I can't afford it right now. The entitlement was breathtaking. Simone, you cheated on me and blamed me for it. Why would I vacation with you? I didn't cheat, she snapped. Troy and I connected emotionally, and yeah, we kissed, but we weren't having sex behind your back or anything. You're blowing this out of proportion. And for the record, you weren't exactly present in our relationship either. Always working, always tired. What did you expect? I closed my eyes, counted to 5. I'm done with this conversation. Lose this number too. I hung up and blocked it immediately. But Simone wasn't done. She recruited reinforcements. Her mother called me the next day, a woman I'd always gotten along with but who was fiercely protective of her daughter. Marcus, sweetheart, Simone told me what happened. I'm so sorry you two are going through this. Her voice was syrupy, condescending. But don't you think you're being a little harsh? She made a mistake. We all do. You two were together so long. Don't throw away all that history over one bad moment. One bad moment, like 6 years, could be distilled into a single mistake instead of a pattern of disrespect. Ms. Patterson, with all due respect, this is between Simone and me. I appreciate your concern, but I've made my decision. She pushed harder. She's struggling right now, Marcus. Financially, emotionally. She needs support from people who care about her. You always were so good to her. Don't turn cold now. The implication was clear. Be the ATM, if not the boyfriend. I wish her the best, but I can't be her support system anymore. Ms. Patterson sighed dramatically. Well, I think you're making a mistake. She told me about that trip you two planned. Seems spiteful not to let her go. That's not the Marcus I know. I ended the call politely but firmly, then blocked her number too. Next came Simone's best friend, Keisha, who I'd actually considered a friend myself. She texted me a long paragraph about how Simone was really going through it, and how Troy had turned out to be a jerk, and how I should be the bigger person. According to Keisha, Simone had realized she made a mistake, and I was being unnecessarily cruel by cutting her off. She's not asking you to get back together, the message read, just to be a friend and not abandon her when she needs you most. I replied simply, she abandoned this relationship when she decided Troy was more exciting. I don't owe her friendship or financial support. Keisha's response was fast and furious. Wow, okay. I thought you were better than this, Marcus. She was right about you having no heart. Blocked. It was almost funny how Simone had painted herself as the victim and people were buying it. Or maybe they just knew her longer and felt obligated to take her side. About a month after the breakup, Simone showed up at my office. I was leaving for lunch when I saw her in the lobby, looking noticeably worse for wear. Her hair wasn't done. Her clothes seemed thrown together, and she had dark circles under her eyes. Marcus, please. 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. Security was nearby, but I didn't want a scene. I gestured to a quiet corner of the lobby. What is it, Simone? She launched into what seemed like a rehearsed speech. I'm sorry for everything. The way I handled things with Troy, the things I said about you. I was confused and selfish, and I see that now. Her eyes got watery. Troy turned out to be a complete asshole. He was seeing like 3 other women, including someone at his gym. When I confronted him, he laughed and said we were never exclusive. I feel so stupid. I listened without expression. She continued, I lost my job at the clinic because I called out too many times to hang out with him. My mom is barely speaking to me because I borrowed money I can't pay back. Half my friends think I'm messy and dramatic now. Everything's falling apart, Marcus, and I need someone stable. Someone like you. There it was. Not, I miss you because I love you. Not, I realized what I had. Just, I need someone stable. Now that her exciting fling had crashed and burned. I'm sorry you're going through that, I said evenly. But I'm not your safety net. She reached for my hand. I pulled back. Don't be like this. We can try again, or at least be real friends. Help me get back on my feet. You're the only person I trust. Trust. The word almost made me laugh. You don't trust me, Simone. You trust my bank account. Her expression shifted from pleading to angry in a heartbeat. Are you serious right now? After all the years I gave you, this is how you treat me? I stuck with you through your boring routine, your long work hours, your refusal to take risks. I deserve some loyalty. You stuck with me? I kept my voice low but firm. I supported you through grad school. I paid for your exams, your courses, most of our living expenses. I turned down job opportunities for you. And the moment someone more exciting came along, you jumped ship. That's not sticking with someone. She crossed her arms defensively. So this is about money? You're really going to nickel and dime me now? This is about respect, I said. You don't respect me, and you never did. I was just convenient. She switched tactics again, softening. What about Costa Rica? Can't we at least do that? It might help us both heal. I'll pay you back for my half, I swear. I just need a little time to get my finances together. I'm still going to Costa Rica, I told her. Just not with you. Her eyes widened. You're going alone? That's so sad, Marcus. I smiled for the first time in that conversation. I'm not going alone. She looked like I'd slapped her. You're taking someone else? Already? Who? That's not your business anymore. I checked my watch. I need to get back to work. Take care of yourself, Simone. I walked toward the elevators and she followed, voice rising. This is so petty. You're really gonna take some random woman on the trip we planned together? After everything we had. I turned back one last time. You gave up everything we had. I'm just not letting it go to waste. Security started walking over, and she must have noticed because she backed off. But she shouted across the lobby, You're going to regret this, Marcus. She's just a rebound. You'll see you can't replace what we had. People in the lobby were staring. I felt embarrassed for her, but mostly I just felt done. The woman I was taking to Costa Rica was named India, and I'd met her at a tech conference about 3 weeks prior. She worked in UX design for a healthcare company, and we'd gotten paired up for a workshop session. We'd clicked immediately. She got my humor, shared my love of terrible sci-fi movies, and actually wanted to hear about my work instead of glazing over. We'd been on 4 dates, nothing serious yet, but there was potential. Real potential. When I mentioned the trip to her over dinner one night, explaining the whole situation in broad strokes, she'd laughed. So you're saying there's a non-refundable romantic getaway that needs a reboot? I nodded. Pretty much. Would you want to come? No pressure. Separate rooms if you want. Just a chance to get away and actually enjoy it. She'd smiled. That gorgeous smile that made her eyes crinkle. Separate rooms for now, but yeah, I'm in. Let's make new memories. The final payment for Costa Rica came due about 2 weeks before the trip. I paid it in full for 2 people, Updated the resort with India's information instead of Simone's. It felt symbolic, like closing one chapter and opening another. I didn't post about it on social media, that wasn't my style. But India did. A tasteful photo of 2 passports and boarding passes with the caption, "Adventure awaits." She tagged me. I didn't untag myself. Apparently, we still had enough mutual friends that Simone saw it. My phone started blowing up with calls from her new number, all of which I ignored. She left voicemails that progressed from angry to desperate. "You're really doing this? Taking some random woman on our trip?" "That's our trip, Marcus. I don't care if we broke up. You know how much I needed this. You're being vindictive and cruel, and you know it." The day of the flight arrived. India and I met at the airport early, both of us excited and ready. We were going through check-in, laughing about something, when I heard my name called across the terminal. I turned and there was Simone, rolling a suitcase behind her, looking frantic. "Oh no," I muttered. India squeezed my hand. "Ex-girlfriend." I nodded. "Unfortunately." Simone rushed over, out of breath. "Marcus, wait. I need to talk to you." She glanced at India, then back to me. "Alone, please." India looked at me and I shook my head. "Whatever you need to say, you can say here." Simone's face flushed. "Fine. I came here because I realized you were really going through with this, and I can't let you leave without trying one more time." Her voice cracked with what seemed like genuine emotion. "I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. But what we had was real, Marcus. 6 years doesn't just disappear because I made a stupid mistake." "It wasn't a mistake," I said quietly. "It was a choice. Multiple choices." She wiped her eyes. "Okay, yes, choices. Bad ones. But I'm asking you to give me another chance. Or at least let me come on this trip. I bought a ticket to Costa Rica using the last of my savings. I'm supposed to be there. We planned this together." India stiffened beside me, but stayed quiet. I looked at Simone, really looked at her, and felt nothing but exhaustion. "You bought a ticket without asking me? That's not romantic, Simone. That's stalking." She flinched. "Don't be dramatic. I'm trying to show you I'm serious about fixing things. By crashing a trip I'm taking with someone else?" I gestured to India. "This is India. We're going to Costa Rica together, and you're not invited. You need to accept that and move on." Simone's eyes filled with tears, but there was anger there too. "You've been dating for what, a month? And you're already taking her on the trip we planned for years? That's so disrespectful." India finally spoke, her voice calm but firm. "I think we should go, Marcus." She looked at Simone. "I'm sorry you're hurting, but this isn't the way to fix it." Simone turned on her. "I wasn't talking to you. You don't know anything about our relationship." India didn't flinch. "I know enough. And I know we have a flight to catch." Simone looked back at me, desperation clear. "Please, Marcus. I'm begging you. I lost my job, I'm behind on rent. I borrowed money from people I can't pay back. I need this trip. I need to reset and figure out my life. You're the only person who's ever really been there for me, and I'm asking you to be there one more time." The manipulation was so transparent it was almost sad. "Being there for you isn't my job anymore. After everything you did for me, you're just going to turn your back now when I actually need help?" Her voice rose, drawing attention from nearby travelers. "I gave you 6 years of my life, Marcus. 6 years. You owe me something for that." I felt a flash of anger, but kept it contained. "I owe you nothing. Those 6 years were supposed to be mutual. You made them transactional." She grabbed my arm. "Don't do this. Please, let me come with you even if it's just as friends. I'll stay out of your way, I swear. I just can't afford to lose the money I spent on this ticket." I removed her hand gently but firmly. "You should have thought about that before you bought it. Goodbye, Simone." India and I turned towards security. Simone shouted after us, loud enough that people stopped and stared. "You're going to regret this. She's just a rebound, Marcus. A placeholder until you realize what you lost. I was the best thing that ever happened to you, and you're throwing it away out of spite." Security approached her, asking her to calm down. I didn't look back. Going through TSA, India was quiet. Once we were through, she turned to me. That was intense. You okay? I nodded, surprised to find I actually was. Yeah, I'm good. Sorry you had to see that. She smiled. Don't apologize. I appreciate you handling it the way you did. Firm but not cruel. We grabbed coffee and headed to our gate, the drama already fading in my mind. The flight to Costa Rica was smooth. India and I talked for hours about everything and nothing, and I realized how easy it felt. No walking on eggshells, no wondering if I was being too boring or too predictable. Just two people enjoying each other's company. When we landed and took the shuttle to the resort, the beauty of it took my breath away. White sand beaches, crystal clear water, lush greenery everywhere. This was going to be healing. We checked in, and I'd arranged for separate rooms as promised. India appreciated that, said it showed respect. We agreed to meet for dinner after settling in. Unpacking in my room, I got a text from Terrell. Just saw Simone's Instagram story. She's losing it. You good? I checked out of curiosity. Simone had posted a tearful selfie with a long caption about betrayal and people showing their true colors. The comments were mixed, some people supporting her, others calling her out. I didn't engage, blocked her on that platform too. Dinner with India was at this beautiful beachside restaurant. We watched the sunset, shared stories, laughed until our sides hurt. Over dessert, she asked, "Can I say something without it being weird?" I nodded. Of course. She reached across the table, touched my hand. I'm really glad you invited me on this trip. Not just because it's beautiful here, but because I feel like I'm getting to see the real you. Not the version that was dimmed by someone who didn't appreciate it. Her words hit me in the chest. Thank you for saying that, and for being here. We clinked our wine glasses, and in that moment, I felt completely free. The weight of 6 years with Simone lifted off my shoulders. This was what it should feel like, reciprocal, appreciative, genuine. Over the next week, India and I explored Costa Rica together. We did yoga on the beach, went zip-lining through the rainforest, took a cooking class, and spent hours just talking about life and dreams. By the third day, the separate rooms thing became unnecessary, and she moved into mine. Felt natural, not rushed. We took photos, but not for social media, just for us to remember this reset. Meanwhile, back home, I heard through mutual friends that Simone's spiral continued. She'd apparently shown up at the apartment we used to share and had a breakdown when she realized I'd fully moved out. She'd posted more vague but obvious social media rants about loyalty and fake people. Several friends had distanced themselves from her, tired of the drama. Troy, the guy she'd left me for, had blocked her on everything after she showed up at his gym causing a scene. Part of me felt bad for her, but mostly I felt relieved. Relieved I wasn't responsible for managing her emotions anymore. Relieved I dodged a lifetime of being her safety net while she chased excitement elsewhere. Relieved I'd found someone who actually valued what I brought to the table. On our last day in Costa Rica, India and I took a long walk on the beach at sunrise. She stopped, turned to me with the ocean behind her. I know this is still new, and we're figuring things out, but I want you to know I see you, Marcus. I see how thoughtful you are, how hard you work, how you show up for people. That's not boring. That's rare. Don't let anyone make you feel otherwise. I kissed her then, and it felt like a beginning instead of an ending. We flew back to Atlanta refreshed and genuinely happy. India and I kept seeing each other, and things developed naturally into something serious. She met Terrell, my friends, even my parents, who loved her immediately. Life moved forward in the best way. I got that promotion I'd turned down before, since I was no longer tethered to someone else's preferences. Started working out consistently, picked up photography as a hobby, and generally rebuilt my life on my own terms. About 2 months after Costa Rica, I ran into Simone at a grocery store. She looked better than she had at the airport. Hair done, makeup on, pulled together. She saw me, hesitated, then approached. Hey, Marcus. Her voice was small. Hey, I replied, polite but distant. How have you been? Better, she said. I got a new job, found a roommate situation that works. I'm in therapy now, working through some stuff. She paused. I owe you an apology. A real one. The way I treated you was wrong. I took you for granted, blamed you for my own issues, and then expected you to save me when things fell apart. That wasn't fair. I nodded, appreciating the words even if they didn't change anything. I appreciate you saying that. I saw pictures from your trip. You looked happy. There was sadness in her eyes, but also acceptance. I'm glad you didn't waste it on being bitter. I shrugged. Life's too short for that. She smiled weakly. She seems nice. India. I hope she treats you better than I did. It was probably the most genuine thing Simone had said to me in years. She does, I said simply. I hope therapy helps, and I hope things work out for you. She nodded. Thanks. I really am sorry, Marcus, for all of it. We said awkward goodbyes and went our separate ways. I didn't feel triumphant or vindicated, just neutral. She was part of my past, a chapter that taught me what I deserved and what I wouldn't tolerate. 6 months later, India and I moved in together. Not because of financial necessity or convenience, but because we genuinely wanted to build something. The difference was night and day. We split everything fairly, communicated openly, supported each other's goals without keeping score. It was the partnership I'd always wanted but had never actually experienced with Simone. Looking back now, I'm grateful for how it all unfolded. Simone's betrayal hurt like hell at the time, but it freed me from a relationship that was slowly suffocating who I was. Her assumption that I'd still fund her lifestyle even after she cheated showed me exactly how she saw me, as a resource, not a partner. Walking away from that, reclaiming that trip, choosing myself, that was the beginning of actually living instead of just accommodating. The moral of my story, if there is one, is this: don't mistake your kindness for an obligation to be someone's doormat. When someone shows you they don't value you, believe them and act accordingly. And when you finally choose yourself, don't feel guilty about it. The people who truly care will understand. The ones who don't were never really there for you anyway. Sometimes the best revenge really is just living well and letting karma handle the rest. Thank you for watching all the way through. There's another story to your left screen. You'll enjoy it more than this one.